Welcome back to Satisfactory episode 13. In today's episode, we have actually gotten a lot of work done since episode 12. It may not look like it, but if we take a look at the Quickwire factory where we last left off in the episode, I kind of finished the roof for now anyways. I don't know, I might add some more detail up on the top, not sure, but we kind of got the overhang going here, and then we've got the rest of the outbound drone ports outbound drone ports finally set up. I did not finish the belting for them since logistically I have no use for it at the moment, so I'll kind of just leave it as is and finish that. But we've got everything set up here with the drones. We've got batteries coming in, and then we've got a place for our Quickwire, our Quaterium to come in and then be turned into Quickwire. So that's where we left off on the last episode. What is this? Kind of random why that's here. No, not really sure. Interesting. We'll just delete this and pretend like it never happened. Anyways, so let's move over to the main factory, because on my last stream, if you guys notice, if you watched episode 12, we had basic roof kind of going on, but now you will notice drones. Oh no. Yep, this is a problem. Oh, wow. I got lucky there, huh? I thought for sure I was dead, but let's try to get back up to the roof here if we can. Let's see. I know there's power. Come on, connect. Haha, I got it. So, yeah, let's go to the roof first. I have laid down our facade, and we would call it facade, or we would call it architectural design. I guess that falls under facade. I digress. But basically, this is our drone ports, and this is the way it is going to look going all the way around this whole square of the square Death Star. But yeah, this is what's going on here. So we got our batteries all plumbed in here. Right now these drones are doing absolutely nothing. The one on the end there is bringing in silica from our silica plant, from the ICCQ metals depot and facility for crystals. And then this guy here is bringing in the batteries over from the aluminum factory over there. And then I went ahead and again kind of working on this whole facade or architecture of the rest of the outside of the building, kind of playing with this idea right here. You can kind of see where I'm going with this. I kind of build based on what my needs are, so I never really, building like this facility over here, while I started it, I typically like to just build my needs of factories first, and then I add like an outer shell or design to it later. I don't typically like building facades first and then building into them, because logistically things just change so often in this game. It just, for me, it's harder. But anyways, so we've got our manufacturers turned on and going up here as well now, and so we are finally producing our high-speed connectors over here, and then I double stacked for our crystal oscillators here so that we can get everything pumping out at a decent speed. Their outputs on here are not that great, to be completely honest, but that's okay. I'm not aiming for crazy high output. Again, the goal of this factory here is to just fill up our central storage room and have items for us readily available. In the meantime, I've been kind of watching a couple other YouTubers, and I do forget the gentleman's name, so I apologize for that now. I'll go back and look in the editing. I'll put his name on the screen, because you know what? Some serious credit goes out to the fact of he was just kind of playing Satisfactory and started off like the rest of us probably started off, making basically a spaghetti factory, and then kind of designed this huge 54 item container storage room, and it ended up being a whole automated system where he has drones on for every part that will allow him to call on any item in the game for wherever he is in the world to basically replenish without having to use like hypertubes to travel around, use a train or a jetpack, or walk the long distances. So I kind of really admired that, and I kind of felt like, okay, great, yeah, I've got a standard storage room with all these parts in here, but calling them all out or anything like that, well, I don't have that feature. I kind of want that feature. So it got me thinking, wow, what if I wanted to redo the facade on the outside over here, And when I'm looking at it, it's kind of like, wow, what if we do drone ports kind of all on the side right here and make all those parts accessible for calling out? So that might be something we work on in the future, but that will be way later future. For now, I just kind of wanted to update you guys, but we basically got all of our machines producing. We've got our circuit boards going here. I've got 2 sets of those going, and then we've got our computers producing over here as well. Well, they were producing, and they're apparently out of power. Why are they out of power? Stand by. Okay, yeah, found that. So just wasn't properly plugged in here to the roof right here. And actually, I'm gonna my OCD clean that up a little bit more and make that straight right there. Get rid of this guy. Come on. And I'm probably going to lose my own power. There we go. Come on. Let's make it right over the top of this guy. Wow, okay, come on. Game. Interesting. Do it right there. And for ease's sake, we'll do it right there for now. Okay, so the reason that had happened was because during getting all these guys set up, wired up, and whatnot, I have gone through the whole factory, and I started cleaning up kind of the whole factory as a whole. So I actually redid the power lines all the way through here. I kind of hid them behind these ramp embankments, and then I basically got our power switch, which controls the entire factory now. So the whole thing is off from all floors up, and so this is now central power in this area, and then central power is controlled right here for the whole factory. Truthfully, completely unnecessary. I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, we as factory players here just kind of like to have the logistics in an operating factory, right? So one of the things I've got to work on next, or want to work on next, is I have lights. So I kind of started going around. I was going to put these symbols around, and I was going to put lights in the factory. I am not currently using lumen. I just think it's too dark. It's too much of a pain. I've got so many dark corners in and out of here, especially like on my service belt areas. I have absolutely no reason to waste my time to light all this just to have lumen be a cool effect. So yeah, kind of a cheat, I suppose, if you want to, but not really. So I don't have lumen turned on right now. So I think maybe like way later, when we go to wrap all this up and everything is in its final resting place, I close off all these walls, maybe that will be its own episode where we work on lumen inside the factory itself and like get all the main manufacturing and floors all pretty much lighting, yeah, get all the lighting done. What the hell I'm trying to say. So yeah, went through, but a lot of work has actually been done. It might not beat the eye, but like this whole border area, all this was messed up. We used to have cross member beams here. I was kind of going with like an X shape, but then I just kind of redid it. I started fixing the walls on the back side to close all this area up. I just got to finish this top area here. And then I went around the entire top of the base and closed it all off. I started messing with a different panel over here, the roofing panels, instead of just the traditional slants. And I kind of like the way that it looks because it adds a little bit more reflection. It's a little bit more rough. So again, in one of the previous episodes, I think like episode 10, maybe 11, I mentioned I wanted to change the facade of the base and do something a little different. So I haven't spent any time. So I think what we're going to do in today's episode is really just focus on one side of the base, but taking into account that I'm thinking about having drones now ship out all the items, kind of like the YouTuber that I mentioned before did. I really am thinking of spending some time doing that. So I want to measure out the base. A drone port is three squares wide, 3 foundations wide, if you will, 4 meters. Well, that's a 4 meter tall, but yeah, 3 foundations wide. So I'm figuring if we count this out and see how many drone ports we can actually fit, and then I should be able, if I count one long side out and short side out, we should be able to calculate how many drone ports we can get. So let's go ahead and do that now. Welcome back. Okay, so we made some progress, and I decided to put all the drone ports on the outside of the base here. So we've got 11 that we were able to do because the base is perfectly symmetrical. And then I was messing with a belt idea. So this would be belt style 1, if you will. And then you've got another 11 drone ports down this way. And this belting style, I like a lot more. I like better. Freaking A. I prefer this style. However, the problem with it is that it goes into the factory. And when we get into the factory on this particular side, we have no factory stuff. But when we get over to the left or the right side of the factory, which would be the south or the north side of the walls, we've got factory stuff. So running the belts through in this configuration would not really be plausible. However, it dawned on me after taking a break working on this that these belts are typically all just the inbound belts. So technically, if we're going to use a smart splitter, or if we're going to sort the items out anyways to be split, why in the world do I need to have every single one as its own intake, if you will? So granted, you know, we can only do 780. Not every single port will theoretically have stuff coming in at the time, so this is kind of overkill. It looks cool, it would be nice, but logistically, why deal with so many belts? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and get rid of this now and go to a single or double belt. We'll do 2 belts. This way we have 2 780s going between the 11 drone ports, and just one of the ports will go, or maybe I'll split that one into either of the belt. Let's see what I can come up with that way. All right. Okay, seriously, I spent so much time on stream trying to figure that out yesterday to make all those belts work without thinking about the logistics of what I was actually trying to achieve. And yeah, sometimes you just gotta walk away from something after spending some wasted hours. And yeah, so I basically had put down a foundation here and then had stacked up the mergers on either side, but technically that's not actually what I needed to do. What I should have done was put down the foundations here and here, like I did on the left here, because this merger is not necessary at this point. And basically you can take this guy, come right to the end here, and then you can go right there and you can see that it lines up perfectly in between. So I ended up doing that, which causes it to be pretty clean. And then you got the mergers just going straight out across, which allows you to put the lifts right into the merger itself. Get rid of these guys for aesthetic purposes. We're going to be using walkways. And there you go. That's how I got the center there. And then now we can bring those up, belt these guys up here, and then we will end up belting them there through the center. Let me clean up the rest of this here. But yeah, so what I want to do is I want to end up having drones be my delivery system for all the items. Again, inspired by another YouTuber. And so I was kind of messing with the logistics over here with a storage setup, and this is what we came up with. He came up with, Wolf was helping me test it here, but basically this would be our bin that you could just drop whatever into, right? And I don't have encased beams on the loop right now, but what's happening is basically you've got smart splitters down here, and then, you know, whatever your first input is, or item, that is what would go in here, and then this would be a buffer storage, and the buffer storage goes in here, and then you've got another one here that just does overflow. So if this backs up and fills up this top container, which is the storage container, everything would overflow into the Awesome Sync. My concern is that you've got one input line going around with all the parts, right? And some items being, you know, they could be a stack of 50, stack of 100, 200, 500, right? My concern is that with 780 on the line, if you've got a couple stacks of 500 coming in, you know, it's never going to go. So what I did was I just broke it down, and I used these secondary overflows here to take a percentage of the items coming in, and then they'll basically just immediately send it out to another merger into the Awesome Sync is what my idea is. So yeah, we'll be losing some parts ultimately coming in. But I think that's the only way I can actually control. Now, this isn't necessary, so this could be kind of turned on or off for, this would be a fail-safe system, if you will. And for every, percentage down the line that you need to, you can basically turn this on or off. So right now, it's set to none by the third one, right? And again, this could just be calibrated or adjusted based on how many products you actually have going down this one line and it's backing up and you've got backup issues. At that point, you can start to turn these on to start taking from that line coming in to just go straight to the awesome sync in order to allow the items to process and properly go into the bins that they need. Now, this is just a small scale. This is only 9 items. We've already tested it. As you can see, the items just keep going in a loop. I don't currently have it hooked up to go into the awesome sync, but if we were to do that, it's just as simple as this. I'm just gonna, why did that go down? Okay. I'm not gonna make this nice, but we're just gonna be like, goodness, clicking too fast or what? So there you go. So boom, just straight into the awesome sync at this point. So yeah, you've got overflow here. If that gets backed up or that line gets backed up, then you've got a percentage overflow that would bypass. And this could be another awesome sync, not to disturb the main line that would already be positing, but anything that was not sorted would just end up overflowing as part of the items going out. Again, this is kind of an optional thing, and then obviously at the end of this line you would add that feature in because that means you're not sorting those parts already. So a little bit of trial and error, but I think this is the design I'm going to go for. The blueprint I can, so we can do 4 squares, so I should be able to blueprint this pretty easily actually, and we'll be able to just slap all of them together. My thought process is going to be is that up above the manufacturing floor, you can see up there, I was already testing the design, and that's how much I would have to raise up the space elevator. So, without further ado, I think the plan will be to raise the space elevator and then work on the new storage sorting room for the drones coming in and out. Realistically, this is more of like a wish list item once all the storage and items are done or stored here in the main starter base. So I don't think I'm going to focus on it right now. I'm just going to leave the logic in place so that I remember what I was doing and MrToX deal with that. But let's take a look at the belting here. So basically you got one belt coming in. This would be all the items coming in from all 11 drone ports here, and then you've got your batteries, which all belt up nice here, and they'll all just be on this level. But then what I decided to do is from the main storage here, I will basically leave out the front of the main storage here and go straight down, which will come under the subfloor. It'll look pretty cool. I'm going to keep all the belts super organized and as tidy as possible, but then they'll come across right through here, and then I built like this little aesthetic. So I'm going to try to make this as symmetrical as possible, but each one will come up into a drone port and then plug into the respective drone port utilizing this as a lane or this as a lane. So we'll probably end up, depending on the amount of belts, my thought process or idea is that for every closest belt will be the first one it runs to. So if that was the first belt in the line, it would come here and it would run all the way down, and then the second one would come over, and I'll obviously, I'll have to do that based off, if this was the first belt here, got belt 1. Why do these things like spawn all messed up? So that would be like belt 1, and then belt 2 would come right here, and then belt 3, and so on and so forth, until I just, run up to each one. This way the lines aren't crossing and everything looks nice and especially when you're walking around down on the subfloor and you're kind of looking around, and kind of logistically makes sense. It'll just look like won't look like a bunch of unnecessary spaghetti. So that's the plan for the drone ports. We've got 11 more drone ports to put over there and 11 more on the other side, but again, that is a future idea. I didn't want to lose the idea, so I went ahead and just did it now. So I believe that will be it for today's episode. Just kind of future planning and something we will work on in the future. In the meantime, we need to get back to producing the rest of our electronics parts. So the next thing we were working on up here was supercomputers. We need to get our supercomputers in here, which if I believe correctly, real quick, we'll take a look at that before we end the episode today. Let's take autosave. Dreaded auto. Dreaded, but also very... So, supercomputer. Super. We don't have an alternate for supers, so unfortunately, no, we have an alternate for computers. That's the one, and what we're already making. We do have an alternate for supercomputers and assemblers. Right, that's right. Oh, cool. Okay, so it was radio control units. That's what it was. So we need to put radio control units up here next. Okay, yeah. So radio control units, and I believe we were going to go with this one's 3 per every 40 seconds, or you get 1 for every 16 seconds, and only needs the heat sinks, high-speed connectors, and quartz. We've got quartz. We've got heat sinks already being manufactured. We have enough heat sinks coming. That's 15 per minute. Again, I could scale my heat sink production since that's down there. So let's go take a look at that real quick. Alright, so we've got 10 per minute times 6. So 60. Don't need to do math on that one. So we've got 60 units coming out, and that thing said it needed 15. So that's 15... 30, so we're gonna need about 45 per minute, and then the 4 blenders downstairs, those guys need 12 per minute times 4, 12 times 4, 48. Yeah, so we'll need to double the heatsink production if we want to actually run somewhat efficiently. No big deal. So on the next episode, we will double that and we will get supercomputers rolling out. And we will be all done with electronics here at the main base. So once again, thanks so much for tuning in, checking out the factory and the progress. I know I am all over the place. I like to work on many projects, but many projects turn into one large project, which ultimately the way I enjoy engineering things and kind of playing through my playthrough. So, if you enjoyed this, please leave any comments, likes, subscribe, and if you want to come hang out and provide any suggestions or help me do math while I'm streaming live on twitch.tv/MrToXM8, yeah, that'd be awesome. Love to have you come hang out and chat along, even if you're just lurking. Anything goes. All right, have a great night. Till next time.